rock isn't dead. It's in flux.
Hi, everyone. I'm Britt with Rock and Flux, and I am joined today by Panther and Barrett of the band Bootblacks. So, guys, thank you for being with me here today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Hello.
So, I guess as a starting point, can you each just maybe say your name and then what you do in the band? That's a good way to start, I guess.
Okay, I'm Panther Almquist, and I am the singer in the band.
I am Barrett, and I play synth and some drum pads on occasion.
Cool. And you're based out of New York, essentially. We were just talking about this, but I just, for the listeners, want them to know, where they can find you all and how you came about. And then it's interesting, you have another member who's in Berlin, Germany.
That's right.
So logistically, I was very curious about that and how you all handle that. Like because you have toured and things like that. How do you prepare for that when, one of you is so far away? And also, how do you write and think, just how do you work together, I guess?
Yeah, this was kind of the new experiment that we started in the last year. Kalle, who's our member in Berlin, he plays guitar. He's a longtime friend of the band. We had toured together. He was in bands previously that we had toured with in Europe, and he came to the US and toured here with us. And so we go way back. And when, it came up that we needed a new guitarist, he immediately raised his hand. We didn't have to do tryouts or anything like that. He was just, ready to go. And as far as the process now, it is definitely new for us. It's different.
Mm-hmm.
Working remotely for the most part. It's been exciting though. It's been a different change of pace. As far as like playing live and all that kind of stuff, we can't pick up the random weekend show anymore like we used to. Like,
Right.
We have to be a little more considerate with our touring plans and things like that, which, is probably not a bad thing. I think that's all right. But then, we prepare, Panther and I rehearse together, and Kalle does his thing in Berlin. And we'll get together a few days, a week or so, maybe even before a tour or a festival or whatever, just to be in the same room and just, get that energy and feed off each other a little bit. And, we all come prepared. So it's usually just going through the songs and just playing them together. And
I also think we started writing this album during COVID.
Okay.
Kind of, there's at least pieces of that that are still left.
Are you talking about your most recent album? So Thin Skies is what you're referring
to?
No,
the one that we're still working on.
Oh, you're still working on it. Okay.
Yeah, it was like a weird thing, but I don't know. So that became kind of part of the process too. Like, I think we were more used to doing a traditional, like we had a practice space and would write songs like in that kind of traditional manner. But I think that it was interesting that we started writing music during COVID, which was remote.
Right.
So when we added somebody into the band that doesn't live here, we were already kind of used to this like online. And I think it's actually better. I mean, I actually prefer it. I don't think I would have, if you were to travel back in time and say like, I would prefer to write online or work with music that way. I think I would have liked it, but I think it became a kind of a weird benefit.
I think it allows all of us to kind of write when we feel the inspiration, when, we're all in our comfort zones. It's just, I don't know, it's just an easier kind of thing. And then, obviously we just email tracks back and forth. And so that's easy. We can get on Zoom calls like this and chat about it, or, it doesn't feel that different from, being in the same room. It's a little less immediate,
Right.
But it's been fruitful for us, I think, so far.
It's the beauty of technology, Yeah. Because a few years ago you wouldn't be able to do that. So.
Exactly.
So if for people who haven't listened to your music at all, if you had to tell them a song that you would want them to start out listening to, what do you think you'd suggest? This is usually a tough question.
Yeah.
Well, it is a tough question because we have a good amount of material and our discography goes back a certain ways. But like, I would say usually it's the newest thing. It's the last thing we put out. So for me, it would be Forbidden Flames. It's where we're at now. It's what we're kind of most excited about because it's fresh. It's new for us even. Yeah. So yeah, Forbidden Flames is my choice. I could give a second choice of like back catalog, whatever.
I don't even know what songs we have.
You're singing them, shouldn't you know?
I don't know. I have to review quickly before. I don't know. It's crazy.
Can I ask you, were you born with the name Panther or?
No. Okay. This is a. I should have said yes. I screwed up. No.
There is a story, there is a fun story behind it. It's not simply just like, hey, I want to come up with a cool rock and roll name. It's really actually not that.
I was in jail for several years, and a lot of people. Yeah, no, I'm kidding. They were like the Panther is sort of like an assassin's name. No.
Well, how did it come about? Now you have to tell me.
Okay, so I have a hand that looks like a claw.
Okay.
So, Panther.
Is that really it?
Yeah,
I mean, that's the short abridged version of it.
Yeah. As you can see, I can really weave a story together. That's the kind of abridged version of it.
Okay, so we'll choose Forbidden Flames as the song that we're going to play. And you basically are choosing it just because you feel like it's most representative of kind of where your music is right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so let's play a clip of that.
When you look into my eyes, I don't wanna say goodbye. In empty rooms, you are mine for a time. Set a fire in empty rooms. You and mine for a time. Forbidden flames. Set a fire. Set a fire. Saw you dive in the shallow end.
I was reading about you all, and you've actually been, making music together for quite some time. But only recently moved more away from like the punk sound to like more of the new wave, dark wave type of sound. What made you want to start writing this type of music instead?
Because that's the kind of music I think we like.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, I don't know. That sounds like kind of a short answer, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, we've always liked that type of music, and I think it was a natural.
Yeah, I don't think it was like this like complete left turn or anything like that. I think there's always been elements of it. And I think we've always, been big fans and appreciated it,
Also not like having a drummer anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that was the biggest difference. Just kind of leaning into the electronic drums more. And we've dabbled in it in the past here and there. But yeah, it's always been there. It's always been kind of in the background with us a little bit, and we just decided to take the full dive in.
So when you tour, you don't bring a drummer out?
We don't bring like a live acoustic drummer anymore, but I do play like pads. I play electronic pads in addition.
Okay.
And I do feel like that is still important to have some kind of percussive element when you're playing live. So, and I used to be a drummer before I was a synth player. So it kind of scratches an itch as well.
Do you prefer to play synth over drums overall?
Yes. Yeah, I do. And that was surprising to me when it first started happening. But it is like, especially live, you get to engage with the crowd a lot more. Yeah. And it's just more fun. It's just simply more fun. Being a drummer, you're constantly like thinking about the song and what part of the song you're in and everything like that. And I think, being a synth player gives you a little more freedom to just have fun on stage.
Yeah, that makes sense. and you all have toured with several other actual bands that have been on this show. So you've done some shows with actors.
Yep.
So I've actually had Jason on a couple times. And then you recently toured with Twin Tribes. Can you tell me about, those shows, and you have any like good stories from the road?
I mean, we
well, first of all, Jason also he produced our last album.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah, we have a good history in general. Us and actors toured together multiple times, like full tours, and so those were great. We were both kind of finding our feet at the same time to a degree. And then, with Twin Tribes, we played a few shows with them back in like 2018, I think it was.
Okay.
And, we immediately hit it off with them. Our paths didn't cross as much for a while. I mean, obviously COVID took a big chunk of time out of that.
Yeah.
But, we saw, they were going on tour and they brought us along for a stretch. And it was just nice to catch up with them and see what they've been up to. And I mean, they're a well-oiled machine. They got it down to a science, and they're sweet guys. And
they are, yeah.
Yeah, and so it was great. It was kind of like a reuniting of sorts, and we had a blast. It was probably one of the easiest tours we've ever done. Like,
really,
it was just smooth. Like, there was no drama, there was no technical issues. It was just. We came home just like, wow, that was a lot of fun, and just kind of wish we were still on it, I think.
Yeah, I do feel sort of lucky to, know a lot of these people, because not only do they make good music, but I don't know, they're actually quite fun. I do think I enjoy knowing too that, like, I don't know, yeah, I don't know. They're just like, it's fun to like take friends out on the road, basically.
Yeah, well, of course, because
you
kind of have that chemistry already, and like that background that it just makes it a lot easier, I think, in general, And I think, I mean, for me as a listener of a lot of those bands, I really like the fact that you all do work together and there is like a lot of cross-pollination.
And also, not even just on tour too, we did, collaboration with actors, and then Twin Tribes, we traded remixes. So like, there is that kind of camaraderie, which, I remember even growing up and seeing bands in the 80s doing stuff like that and through the 90s. And I always thought it was cool. It's just like, I mean, more.
We did a David Bowie cover with actors.
Well, I was actually going to ask you all about that because you have a video for it. So how did you decide to kind of do that whole song together? And then it was interesting because like you kind of like the girls dressed as guys and then the guys dressed as girls in the video. So tell me about, how the song came about and then how you just decided just to put that video together.
Well, the video was basically, a kind of tribute to David Bowie's version of that video. Right. And actually the whole thing came about. Jason knew that I was, I'm a huge David Bowie fan, and I just, I love him. And actually Jason is as well. And I had just put up I think I just put up like a story on my social media or something with Boys Keep Swinging. Okay. And he wrote me and he goes, "Oh, that's a great one." So I actually I have the controversial position of actually thinking that The Lodger is David Bowie's greatest album. That sounds like a kind of contrarian thing to be like, oh, like people always pick the weird album, but I think it's one of his most underappreciated albums and whatever. And that song's the single for that. So he actually was like, we should cover this song, and which I was super nervous about because being a fan of David Bowie, I don't think that I should step in his. I mean, just covering it was like frightening to me, but he was like, we should do it. So
but Bowie was the type of person that would have wanted people to do that anyway, So.
Yeah, I know, but it's still like, it's like the scariest thing in the world to be like, to think I have the, I don't know. Yeah, it's just, it's covering your idol basically. Yeah. So he brought it up that we should cover it, and Jason has his studio, and we were out there and we did it, and I don't, as far as the video goes, like I said, that's more just kind of a homage to the but it was super cool to do, and I'm really proud of it, and I don't know, I did it. I covered my heroes, so that was.
I think that was one of like the interesting things about Bowie, though. He always did that androgynous stuff, and he did that a lot throughout his career. He was always the chameleon, everybody says, and he changed a lot. But like, I feel like that was the one component that always had an element in it.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So,
and I mean, and he took a lot of heat for it back then, and he didn't care.
He did, yeah.
He was just like, no, this is what I'm doing. Deal with it.
Right.
Yeah, and I would just say, The Lodger, it's the best album. I know it sounds like the, it's great. Like people are sleeping on it.
I just think, also some people just don't go as far back in the catalog of people, you know? So
I mean, when you have so many like greatest hits compilations, people just settle on those a lot of the times. And I mean, obviously he has quite a selection of greatest hits alone.
Right.
But
it's also between eras, right? So it's not Ziggy Stardust, it's not Thin White Duke, and it's not Let's Dance. It's that weird album, but I don't know. It's a great album. So yeah, I like that I'm telling people to go listen to David Bowie, but
people do just go to like the greatest hits a lot of the time, though. Or even like now with the streaming, you go to an artist page and it's like the top songs that are played are what you end up, you know what I mean? And if you really have to commit to kind of listening to that, and if you want to go farther, because it doesn't necessarily do it. So.
When you're saying what's Bootblacks song you should listen to, just listen to Lodger.
Well, actually, though, I was going to say, like, talking about going back in the catalog, not that we have to play an example of it, but like, what of your music are you maybe most proud of from like your older stuff? Is there anything that you think of, like when you play it maybe live or whatever else?
I know what I'm bringing up right now.
I mean, I privately admitted that I don't even know most of my own songs.
Yes, that's rather surprising. You probably have to do a lot of tour prep.
Decoys.
Yeah, it's great. I just listen. I'm like, what is this?
There was a track called Decoys off the Veins record.
Oh, yeah. Okay. He's right about this.
Yeah. And so Veins was an album that was put out right before I joined the band. So I actually had nothing to do with this songwriting or anything. But it was a song that I immediately kind of like I was like, oh, that's a good song. And when I joined the band, I immediately was like trying to plead with everybody, like, can we bring this back into the set? Like, this is the banger.
And I said, absolutely not.
How did you even know what song he was talking about, though, if you don't remember all of your stuff?
I mean, I didn't. No,
he just wanted to say no to anything I was suggesting.
Right.
No, well, it's because when I should say, when I wrote the song, which is true, I did write it. So our the other kind of founding member of the band, Allie, and I, we had attempted to perform this song while we were on tour in Europe.
Okay.
And it was before it was before we had even recorded it. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to tell you, it went very poorly.
Okay.
So there's been a handful of times in my life where I can remember being like, yeah, let's just go for it. And usually we land on our feet. We're pretty lucky, but this was a spectacular disaster. So I was very traumatized. And I was like, I'm never, ever doing it again. And,
but that was before you ended up recording it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was so traumatizing that Barrett was like, I said, no, I'm never doing it again. And he's absolutely right. It's a good song, it turns out.
Yeah, we finally got it into a set list, like starting late last year, I think.
Okay.
And I remember distinctly coming off stage and Panther was just like, yep, you were right. And we've been playing it ever since. And it's just a really fun song for me to play live.
Yeah.
Like, I just love it. And so
it's a highlight of the set, actually. So
yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
it's always interesting how
that's the deep dive that I think people should take.
Okay. We'll go and listen to their discography, everybody. Actually, my personal favorites that I like Sudden Moves. I don't know why. I really like, I think the lyrics of that song are interesting because it feels like there's a story, like a backstory to it. And I like songs that have that, like a story to them. And then I also like Thin Skies. which I know is like the title track of your last album, but I like that song.
So you like more of the mid-tempo stuff?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
I guess so.
Yeah, no, that's a good to hear, because I actually like the mid-tempo stuff myself personally more. Like those are two of my more favorite songs, but
Sudden Moves was like a staple for. I mean, since we put it out, we played it at pretty much every show. And
what's the backstory of that one? Is there a backstory?
Yeah, there was a year where a lot of people died.
Yes,
and I also had a pet as well.
Okay,
that died, a dog.
Oh wow,
I'm an animal person.
Yeah, me too.
And it was like so there was a lot of kind of death going on, and so the song's basically about I don't know, it's about loss.
Okay.
Right. And wanting to I don't know, basically like keep the things that you love close to you. So and it wasn't like, it was just one of those kind of, I guess, sort of bad luck situations. It wasn't, just so happened to be that. So I don't know, that whole album and Sudden Moves and any of the songs in there are just kind of about loss and dealing with that.
Well, I think it was interesting too, like the way you sang, like, I don't believe in God, that lyric in that song, like that's a grandiose statement, like to say in it. But the way it's sung is like, it's not like this foreboding, horrible thing. It's not like 9 Inch Nails, like heresy,
Right.
It's not like angry. It's just, I don't know. It's hard for me to describe but I think it's very well written the way that it is. So.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, but that, like,
I don't think that was Panther's intent. It wasn't supposed to be like a shocking line.
It's like, it's just like a matter of fact, which is like, I think a lot of people who feel that way, it's very matter of fact to them, but to other people, it's like, what, you can't say that. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was, again, with the loss, right? It's sort of hard to see, the purpose in, it's like you said, it's a matter of fact, but it's also a bit like giving up, right?
Right.
Like it's like, I can't see the purpose or the design behind, the kind of, I mean, misery is too big of a word, but when you're experiencing loss or sadness or things like that, it's sort of like, I guess it's well said. It's sort of matter of fact.
Right.
I mean, you're really dealing with grief.
Yeah. And also, just for the record, I don't believe in God. So
it's not just a lyric.
Just for the record,
hey, then you're singing the truth, which is always the best thing to sing, isn't it?
Yeah. So. Yeah, but but you're right. It's not coming from a place of anger or controversy or something like that.
Right. Yeah, I just think it's really interesting. And I think, Thin Skies is an interesting song too. So I like both of those. So you're currently working on an album that you're writing. How is that going? How far along do you think it is? When do you think people can expect it? Oh boy.
Well, okay. So we went through a change in band members.
How recent did that change happen? Or how recently?
I guess
less than a year. Just about,
Okay.
Yeah, just under a year.
All right.
Which was a not a behind the music situation. So it was meaning it wasn't dramatic. So one of our guitarist, whenever she wanted to not be in a band, which makes sense, because it is a difficult lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it requires a lot. So we added Kale. So we kind of had an album in fruition, and but we sort of restarted it because to kind of accommodate that, but also so it's been going on for a while. We're working on it. Okay. I don't know, Barrett, help me out here.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
So I guess going back to the earlier question about the process and everything, it's been a lot of that kind of newness and dealing with that. And just kind of going, throwing all the old rules out the window. Like, oh, you're supposed to have the whole album done, and then you put out a single and a video, and then like the album comes out, and I'm like, and no, we're not going to do that. We're kind of putting singles out as we complete them. And the goal is we're looking to have the record out by like April. That's what we're shooting for.
Okay.
But, we'll be putting singles out in the meantime before then.
Right.
Our next one's coming December 1st.
Okay, I was going to ask, because Forbidden Flames was what, like a month or two ago now?
Yeah, so, it was like late September, early October.
Yeah.
So, we're going to kind of ride that and see where it goes.
Okay.
Yeah, like Barrett said, I think before the process was kind of like, I mean, I don't want to say rushed, but there's the idea that like you have a batch of songs and they needed to be completed. We're kind of, it's a new thing for us to kind of treat each song as a single.
Yeah.
And that means even songs that aren't singles per se, like we're just kind of dealing with them as like individual, I don't know, little vignettes or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of these songs have gone on a journey, basically, from where their initial original intent was to, writing and rehearsing them, and then kind of going back and saying, what did we like about this? What are we going to change? I mean, so it's been a lot of that.
And it's more electronic too. So again,
so things that, might have been, recorded with a live drum kit. Now we have to sit and program and consider and, okay, how are we going to do this now? And so it's new. It's still new to us,
Yeah.
Well,
anything takes time. But I think most people now are very like single focused. And then if maybe they take them and put them onto an album at some point together, but a lot of people don't even necessarily do that anymore either,
Yeah.
I'm an album person, but I have accepted this is the way that people consume music now.
Yeah.
And it's weird. Like it sounds like defeated a little bit. But I actually think it's actually a positive, or has been a positive. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, maybe we don't need to, do it the old way and consider it as a complete work.
Right.
But it's been actually like I'm having more fun doing it this way virtually, right? So like the process is different, but also considering how people consume music now, I don't know. It's actually been a kind of a positive.
Probably keeps it a little fresh and exciting too, because you're not like working toward, you know what I mean? Like you're releasing things, so you're getting feedback too. It's like that constant feedback loop.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you just waited and released everything at once, you're not necessarily getting that throughout the process, I guess. So
I also think like strangely, like each song's getting more attention.
Yeah.
It's like we finish one song and you're like, that's the whole album.
Well, and also, if you find, like for me personally, and maybe other people don't do this, but if I find a song that I like, I'll play it over and over and over and over and over again. So if it is on an album, like if I find one I like, I'm not even through the album for a while, because if that happens, so kind of makes that a little easier.
Yeah, no, it's been a good thing actually. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone likes their playlists, right? So
right. That's true. That's true.
I'm an old mixtape guy, so I get it.
Well, even now, though, the Spotify playlists they make for you are actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I listen to those, like, I think more often than even my own playlist that I've made. So, So do you all have any, like, additional touring plans into next year to support all of this? Or, like, what are your...
Yeah, we'll definitely be hitting the road around the same time again.
Spring.
Yeah, spring. We'll probably be doing things in chunks. Like we'll do a chunk of the Northeast, and then we'll do like a Midwest, West Coast chunk. And, we just came off a Southern chunk. So, we might not hit that again right away. But then, we got to get back to Europe.
Sometime in fall.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah,
do you deal with...
we never really stop. Like even,
right.
Yeah, it just...
And I'm assuming like you have to keep Calay's like visa relevant. So that's a whole process.
Don't send this to the U.S. government. Yeah, no.
I just know Empathy Test. I had him on the show, and then I actually just saw him live last week, and he was saying how he had to cancel an entire tour because he didn't get the visa figured out. So it's like a whole thing. And then,
Yeah, he had to deal with that a few times, I think, right?
Yeah.
Nice guy, Isaac.
So, yeah, he's very nice. And then Black Doldrums, I don't know if you've listened to that band at all. They're actually really good. They're like kind of like a goth oasis, for lack of a better description. But they had
do they like that comparison? Okay, all right.
Yeah. And so I'm
picturing like Joy Division singing like "Today is going to be the greatest."
No, it's actually really good. I really recommend them. And they were on and they had a good story because like kind of snuck in the country to do some shows. So it was it was good. I liked that story. It was a good one. So
yeah, it's
it went under the tourist banner.
Yeah, and like Kevin, who like it's a guy and a girl, he almost messed up and like gave the wrong answer to the like customs officials. So it's
Yeah, so if customs officials are listening, Colin and I are officially dating, and
90 Day Fiance.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not only a huge fan of the show, but it's also the premise of the band as well.
Oh boy,
I used to watch
I like that show
by the way.
I am a fan of that show.
If you don't like, it's a great show. I don't know why people don't need to have shame about this. Although I do think the golden days of 2020 90 Day Fiance, that was the best of
like
all.
The one, oh God, what was that guy's name? And he like ran into the jungle with a machete. Pete or like, Paul. And he went to the jungles of Brazil to find this girl. And I mean, he did bring her here to America, but like at one point
because he had a machete. He
got
clear her out of the.
Yeah, he got mad and he like ran into the woods of Brazil with a machete. It was. I mean, you can't write that. You just can't write it.
What's the man with
no neck? Ed.
No neck. Yes,
yeah.
Ed. Those were the Big Ed. Thank you. Those were the glory days. Those are the like. It's funny because I consumed a lot of 90 Day Fiance, but I feel like. I don't know. That was its peak right there. That was.
I don't know if they have the new couples retreat or last chance, whatever they called it. Big Ed is on that, and I mean, I watched the whole thing. It was pretty good. I got it. I recommend it.
Bring back the classics.
I like trash TV. It's straight up, no chaser.
Hey,
just give me the crap.
I'm with you.
Yeah. So,
actually, I would tell people not to listen to our music and just watch 90 Day Fiance. Like,
maybe you can get your music picked up as a background on 90 Day Fiance.
I mean, forget about covering David Bowie. That would be a real dream come true.
Big Ed.
Big Ed's rocking the Bootblacks. Big Ed, if you're out there, I believe you have a neck. I don't think
it's in there somewhere. It's in there somewhere. I don't know where, but it's there somewhere.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for being with me here today. It was a really nice conversation. And so you all can be found on all the streaming platforms and on social media under Bootblacks, right?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, there's a few that are like Bootblacks NYC or something like that. But if you go to bootblacks.net, all the links are there for whatever social media your heart desires.
Well, you all heard it here. Check out Bootblacks and give a listen to Rock and Flux as well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Big Ed.